Alright, let's try this again. It's September 4th. I'm at the lighthouse with my wife and my dog Willow. And my health issues and how they all started. My first bout with my health issues was in, I think it was January of '88. I went in the hospital with pains here in Liverpool in my neck, the left side of my neck, and stayed for 2 weeks. Nothing was really done. They thought I had mumps. Sent me to Halifax. They thought I had infected glands. So they eventually operated and realized it wasn't infected glands, that it was an aneurysm. The anesthesiologist actually noticed it while he was putting a tube in my throat so I could breathe. So I was in the operating room probably well over 12 hours with very little chance of coming out of it unscathed, without any permanent disabilities. I had a couple of strokes. So I come out. I was in intensive care a couple of weeks in. They removed the tube, and I basically had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. Amy was with me the whole time. So I spent, I think, roughly 4 to 6 months in the hospital in Halifax. It was in the infirmary, the old infirmary, and I learned a lot about myself. I really pushed myself. My specialist told me I'd never work again, that there were things that I wouldn't be able to do, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up coming home. I had an appointment after 8 weeks. I was still really weak, dizzy. Those were some of my symptoms from the operation. Headaches, easily confused. But I had it in my mind I was going back to work. So when I went back for my first checkup, I told the doctor I was going back to work. And he said he didn't think so. And I said, well, I know so. So he put me off for a while, told me to think about it. And then when I went back again, after 8 weeks, I think it was, I said, I made my mind up. I'm going back to work, either at my current job that I had at Bow Waters or another job. But I was going back to work. So after trying to get back to work with Bow Waters, they finally let me come back to work. And I worked probably 7 or 8 years, maybe 10. That's one thing that's hard for me is timelines, remembering timelines. Trying to explain things sometimes, all a part of the aneurysm. So I started having more symptoms. My blood pressure would increase rapidly and then decrease rapidly. And I was having to go up to first aid while I was at work. And then one day when I went up, they took me right to the hospital because my blood pressure was off the charts. My doctor came in, seeing me. He said, Troy, you're done work. I said, well, I don't think so, but anyway, we'll see. So he booked me a specialist appointment right away. Went and seen the specialist. Took one look at me and said, you're done work. I said, well, you never even checked me over. You never, whatever. So I fought to go back to work. I knew I was bad. My symptoms were bad, but I thought maybe, just maybe, on a different job, they could be manageable. Specialists didn't see it that way, so they put me on. It was a dark time for me. Work was who I was. I gave me value. Gives most people value. So I got depressed. Really depressed. Started drinking more. Laying around the Chesterfield more. Just not feeling well. Went and seen a couple of psychologists. Never really helped. And then I ended up at the worst of it. I was drinking every day. I was a functioning alcoholic, I guess they call it. I only drank in the afternoons after my housework was done. Amy was working full time, taking up the slack. I do housework. I clean the house. I cook for the kids. The kids were still in school. You know, the things that I thought were menial. And then I met a woman, psychologist in Bridgewater, and she was great. Asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I didn't know what I wanted, but I wanted to do something. So I went home and I thought about it, realized that I had some self-worth, and I wasn't a bad person, but if I kept drinking, it was going to kill me. So I decided to start my own business, taxi business. I thought it'd be easy. Boy, was I wrong there. Any business, if you put effort into it, which I did, takes work. And I pushed myself. And I pushed myself for 5 years. And it got to a point where I was right back to square one. I couldn't do anything. My headaches were phenomenal. Lightheadedness, confusion, everything just multiplied because I was just doing way too much. So I shut it down. But it was different this time. I knew that work wasn't what defined me. I had a great family. I had great support, and I could find other things to do. So I started to do them. I started to spend more time in the woods. Still couldn't spend a lot of time, but see, that was the thing. I had to learn how to pace myself. When I was tired, I had to stop. When I felt well, I could go do a little something. But the minute that I started to feel unwell, I had to stop. Everything was going good for another 5 years, maybe 7. Like I said, my timelines, I find them hard to remember. Went to my doctor. I said, look, I'm having these really strange headaches. So after the first aneurysm, they used to check my arteries to see if there was any shrinkage in my arteries or any change in my arteries. She said, it's been a while since we done that. We should have a look. I said, yeah, okay. It had been about 2 years since my last time that we had done it. So I went to Bridgewater and they did the test. It's just an ultrasound. Pretty straightforward, but this wasn't straightforward. They were taking their time. They were wanting to do more tests. So they decided they would do a CAT scan. I can't have an MRI because I got 2 metal clips here and I have 2 metal clips in my leg, so they're magnetic. So I can't have an MRI, so they did a CAT scan. So the specialist come out, or whatever you want to call him, he come out, he said, I got bad news. And I said, well, what's the bad news? He said, you got another aneurysm. I was surprised. I thought maybe my arteries had shrunk or starting to harden, but no, it was another aneurysm. And this time it was in my right side, right carotid artery. So he said, yeah, he said, it's really large. And he said, to be honest, he said, I think 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks. And that was like, wow. So I came home, I told Amy, and I waited a little bit before I told my children. I went to our local funeral home. I made the arrangements. I went and seen about my life insurance policies I had because I'd taken them out after the first aneurysm. Made sure those were still up to date, that when anything happened, Amy be taken care of, and they were. So I was ready. I've never been afraid of death. I believe in God. I believe there's more to life than death. But don't get me wrong, I was still scared. So my doctor called me right away and said she was booking an appointment with a specialist. And I said, okay, fine. So I went to Halifax. I got diagnosed, I think, a year ago, May. It was on a Thursday or Friday, and I think on Monday I was right in to see a specialist in Halifax. And I told him what they told me in Bridgewater. He said, well, he said, you ain't got 2 weeks. He said, I think you got a little more time than that. But he said it is an extra large aneurysm. But he said, I think you got some time. He said, honestly, can't tell you how much. He said, because aneurysms were so hard to define. It's okay, fine. Kind of left me in limbo, just not knowing. I'm the type of person who likes to know. But I did know that from the specialist, he said, it'll either rupture or you'll have a stroke. So I knew that if I had a stroke, I didn't want anybody looking after me. I didn't want to be in a vegetative state or a state where I couldn't look after myself. So I got my doctor to set up the MAID program for me. Went through the process, got accepted, so that if I get into too much pain, or if I have a stroke and I can't speak for myself, that MAID will automatically be done. I think it's a great thing. Now, some people don't agree with it. I agree with it. For me, it's quality of life, not quantity. So that's where we were with that. So fast forward now, it's been over a year. It was a year in May gone in 2025. So May, June, July, August, 16 months now since I've been diagnosed. I have pain from the aneurysm. I get headaches and I get pressure pain. I'm on medication to deal with it. And I'm still moving forward. I get tired easy. I nap every day. But I'm grateful for what life has given me, what it has to offer me. And I'm grateful that I can do this every morning, sit here on a place like this with my dog or by myself, take all this beauty in, all within 15-20 minutes of my house. I am truly blessed. I'm blessed every day. Every day I see my children, every day I see my wife, every day I see my grandson. I'm blessed. I've got nothing to be sorry about. Are the things in my life I would have done different? Yes, definitely I made mistakes, and I really don't call them mistakes because I believe they were learning experiences. I was meant to go through them just as well as I'm meant to go through this. Are there days that I'm afraid, scared? I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't. But yeah, I am. But for the most part, no. I really truly am happy. I pray, but I don't pray to get better. I pray for other people, that they get better. I pray that this world gets better. I pray the people who are lost or feel lost get better. That's what I pray for. I'm 58. I'll be 58 this month at the end of September. And it's still comparatively young, but there's been a lot of friends who went before me that never seen 58. So, you know, I'm okay with whenever God decides it's my time. I'll be fine with it. So, if anyone wants to reach out and talk about it, if they have an illness, I'm here to listen. What else can I say about it? I don't dwell on it. My next videos will be of something probably totally different. The only way I'll touch on the health part of things, if somebody comments, wants me to talk more about it, then I will. But I don't want to, it's not something I want to dwell on. I got too much other stuff, positive stuff in my life that I don't need to dwell on. But if somebody needs help with their situation and wants to talk, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to talk to you and explain how I got to where I am and why I feel the way I feel. You may not feel that way, and that is fine. You know, if you're terminal or whatever, that'll be a journey that you'll have to figure out on your own, but there are people there that can help you. There are support systems there. If you don't have support with your family, go see a psychologist. If you don't want to comfortable seeing a psychologist, talk to a friend. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. I can give you some advice. I think that's all I'm going to say for today. It's a really beautiful day here on the South Shore. We are really, truly blessed. We definitely need rain. I can't wait till we get rain so I can get out around the woods a little bit. Start getting set up for deer hunting season. Get down to my old camp. So I think I'm going to leave the video at that for now. Thank everybody. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. Looking forward to getting comments. This video is real, raw, and unedited. It's just me being me. So, thank you. And have a good day. Bye.